Hello, welcome back, guys. We are back with a brand new chapter of our novel Obsession. Let's continue with the chapter number 24, part 2. I looked at her, clueless about what was she saying, but I could see on her face that she was scolding me in Hindi. Does it hurt now? She asked with concern, and I shook my head, giving her a small smile. She sighed, got up from the bed, and walked toward the servant, who was watching us curiously. I glared at her, and she quickly lowered her gaze. I'll take it from here. Thank you so much for your help. You can go now, my darling said, smiling at the servant who widened her eyes and looked at mine. I nodded at her, and she left immediately. She then walked toward me and sat beside me on the bed with the tray in her lap. She was careful not to spill the food on the bed. Here, finish this turmeric milk quickly, she said, extending a glass of yellow drink toward me. I looked at her confused. Darling, you know I don't understand Hindi, so why are you using it with me? I asked, looking at her. And you know, I only understand English, but you still use different languages with me. What about that? She asked, narrowing her eyes. I looked at her, shocked. Wow, what a change! Leave it. Here, drink this, she said, extending the glass again. I looked at her, still confused. What is this? I asked, not liking the color of the drink. This is turmeric milk, and it's good for improving your immune system. Now stop asking questions and drink this, she ordered, leaving no room for an argument. I took the glass and drank it without further protest. It was bad, very bad. I'll never drink this again in my life. I handed the glass back to her and she smiled at me, pleased that I drank it all in one go. Now finish this chicken soup, she said, handing me the tray. I took it without saying anything and started drinking the soup. She looked at me with a small smile on her face. Have you eaten anything? I asked, and she nodded in response. She took the tray from my hand, stood up from the bed, and placed it on the bedside table. She was about to leave the room when I called her. Darling, she turned around to face me. Yes, I patted the space beside me on the bed, and she looked at it for a moment before she sighing and walking up to me. She sat beside me, turning to face me. What changed? I asked, wanting to understand the reason behind her behavior. She didn't say anything and looked down at her hands. I took hold of her hands with one hand and used the other to lift her chin so she could look at me. When her eyes finally met mine, I could see the tears she was trying to hide. I I don't know why I was worried when I saw you injured and hurt. I should have been happy and tried to escape from here, but I didn't want that. It hurts me to see you in pain. I don't know why. And don't ask me why. I'm confused. I know you've hurt me a lot, and I can't forgive you easily. But I can't ignore your efforts and the love you and everyone else are showing me. Besides my Ina, no one has ever made me feel this happy and secure, she said, looking into my eyes, her voice thick with emotion. All my life, I've lived according to my family's wishes, and for the first time, I want to live as my heart desires. And my heart wants to give you a chance, Lucas. You make me want to be happy all the time, and I don't want to hold back whatever feelings I have for you. Please don't make me regret my decision, she said, and a tear rolled down her cheek, which I wiped away. Never. You will never regret choosing yourself. I gave you a reason to hate me. Now I'll give you thousands of reasons to love me. Just be with me, darling. Just be with me always, I said, and she nodded, giving her a genuine smile that was reserved only for her. I'm finally happy that she is genuinely giving us a chance. She trusts me, and I keep her trust safe, darling. I called, and she hummed in response. Can you give me a hug? I asked, looking at her, and her face immediately turned red. I stopped myself from chuckling at her cute expression. She didn't reply and stayed silent, so I thought she might be uncomfortable. Let's take one step at a time, I thought to myself. Suddenly, I felt two small arms wrapped around my shoulder, and she moved closer to me. Fuck the space. I immediately wrapped my left arm around her waist and pulled her close. Her head only reached my shoulder. She was short. I felt her hide her face in my chest, and it felt like home. She is my home. When I moved my right hand to circle around her, a hiss escaped my lips, making her look at me in panic. What happened? Are you in pain? Her eyes were wide with panic. Nothing. Just stay here like this, I said as I placed my hand on the back of her head and gently pushed it back to my chest. Her hot breath fanned over my chest, and her fingers tapped on my shoulder. I could feel her nervousness, and a smirk formed on my face, thinking I was making her nervous. You shouldn't have hugged me, darling. Now I know what it feels like to be home, and I'm never planning to leave my home, I thought. Darling, I called my wife as I played with the ends of her hair. She hummed in response. I don't know how much time has passed, but I don't want to leave her side. I was sitting, leaning against the pillows, careful not to hurt my wound. My darling was sitting on my left side, close to me, with her head resting on my chest. My left hand was secured around her waist, and my right hand was nestled between her palms. It felt like we were a normal married couple, and I felt happy. Our marriage is anything but normal. But when we both don't want to hold back our feelings for each other, our marriage starts to feel more like a normal one. I watched as she placed her right palm on the inside of my right hand. Her hand was small, very small, and delicate compared to mine. Your hands are big, Lucas, she said, amused, and I wanted her to call me by my nickname. What do you think about nicknames? I asked. They're cute, she said, still playing with my fingers. Do you like your nickname, darling? I asked, and she paused for a moment before slowly nodding her head. I can't hear you, I said, and she whispered a soft yes in reply. I've given you a nickname, so don't you think it would be fair if you gave me one too? I asked, trying to sound casual. She looked up at me, amused for a moment. Then a mischievous smile formed on her face. I have nicknames for you, she said. Nicknames? I asked, and she nodded. When I first met you, I used to call you Blue Eyed Monster in my head, she said cutely while looking at me, and I stared at her in shock. But then I composed myself, thinking that after scaring her, it was fair she called me a monster. And the other one? I asked curiously. One day, Lena told me your age. So from then on, I changed your nickname to Mr. Old Man. she said, smiling. What the fuck? Why would you call me something like that? I'm only 30, I said, a little offended. Exactly. I'm just 25 and you're 30. Way too old for me. That's why the nickname, she said, and I could feel the panic on my face. Really? Old man? How could she call me that? I'm the most handsome man on earth, and my wife calls me old man? What has my life become? Old man? Seriously? Do I really look old? But with the way every woman looks at me, I don't feel old. Then why does she find me old? That's when I heard her laugh. I looked down and found my darling laughing her heart out, and a smile crept onto my lips. Oh God, haha. Look at your face, she said between laughs. Are you done? I asked when she finally calmed down. I'm sorry, but your facial expressions were funny, she said, trying not to laugh again. I couldn't believe this woman. Everyone around me finds me scary and is too frightened even to look in my direction. And here my own wife is making fun of me. I didn't say anything, and she sobered up. You know what? I have another nickname for you, and it's my favorite, she said, and I gave her a sideways glance. Luke. It's short for Lucas, but I love its meaning, I heard her say, and now I was curious. What does it mean? I heard her say, and now I was curious. What does it mean? I asked, trying to sound uninterested, but I was anything but uninterested. Luke means meaning, she said, and I looked at her confused. You've brought a new meaning to my life. You've taught me how to love freely, given a new purpose to my life. You've taught me to live for myself and given me the courage to believe in myself, she said, even though I didn't understand half of it. My heart fluttered when she explained the meaning of my nickname. I couldn't stop myself from dipping my head towards her and placing a small kiss on her nose. I saw her close her eyes and her cheeks turned pink. I then lifted my lips and placed them on the white stone on her forehead. Her eyes held a different kind of adoration, and a smile graced her face when she finally opened her eyes to look at me. I couldn't break our eye contact and just wanted to get lost in those golden brown eyes. Why did you tie your pendant on my wrist? I asked after some time, and she looked down at my hands. What happened to you yesterday? She asked, and I gulped. I didn't want to lie to her, but it wasn't the right time for the truth. One of my rivals sent some men to kill me, but I somehow escaped, I said, giving her a half truth. I heard her gasp at my words, and her grip on my wrist tightened. Never take this off, Luke. It will protect you. It will shield you from your enemies, she said, holding my hand tightly. Then what about you? I asked, and she looked up at me and said, I know you will protect me, Luke. So here chapter number 24 finally ends, and now we will come back with the chapter number 24 very soon. Till then, bye bye.